afternoon, YouTube. XFile2708 back again with another weekly watches episode. Apologies, I didn't get a chance to record and upload yesterday. As I've mentioned before, it's half term this week, so had a busy day sorting things with Lewis. So I got some time this afternoon, so figured I'll get the weekly watches episode recorded and uploaded for you guys today. So for last week, guys, we had 5 movies watched, 3 of which were physical media. One, as Roy likes to call it, was Fire Stick Plus, and the other one was recorded off the TV. So first one that I watched, guys, was Rita, Sue and Bob 2. I'd really been looking forward to this one. Heard it talked about so many times. Everybody saying there's no way that they could get away with this movie being made today, and they weren't wrong. I absolutely loved it. This is a movie from 1987 with, I don't know, I can't even, Siobhan Finneran, Michelle Holmes and George Costigan and Leslie Sharp. So as always, guys, got my trusty iPad here, so I'll read to you what my Letterboxd review read. Link in the description to my Letterboxd, guys, if you use that for tracking your movies, when you've watched them, what you rate them, etc. I always check into my movies when I watch them and leave a review as well, which is what I'll share with you for this one. And basically I put, really enjoyed this one. Great British comedy drama of the 80s. Super nostalgic for me growing up as a teenager in the 80s and very much of its time. Certainly was, like I say, there's no way they could get away with making that movie these days. As others have said, definitely a film that couldn't be made today due to its subject matter, but brilliant to see how Britain was back then and very much snowflake free. As always, guys, I'll tell it how it is, so there we go. Great story. Brilliantly acted by the 3 main characters as well as the supporting cast. Definitely a film that has plenty of rewatchability for me, and one that I'll upgrade to the Blu-ray release when I can. Letterboxd rating, guys, I gave this one a solid 3.5 out of 5. Didn't quite make it as a 4 out of 5, but if I could rate in quarters, it would definitely be 3.75. It would definitely be closer to the 4 than the 3.5. So that was the first movie that I watched this week. Next one was a movie that I watched on Fire Stick Plus. So by the magic of video editing, here's the movie that I watched. So it's a movie from 2024 called Carry On. I'll read to you the brief synopsis, and it is brief. An airport security officer races to outsmart a mysterious traveller, forcing him to let a dangerous item slip onto a Christmas Eve flight. Now, like I say, this movie came out 2024 and runs 120 minutes, so 2-hour movie. Review wise, guys, I said decent little action thriller, this one. Kind of a mix between Die Hard and Phone Booth, which for me isn't a bad thing at all. I do enjoy both of those movies. You know, it's an action thriller set over the Christmas period, and the way I related it to Phone Booth, the guy that's having to be persuaded to do everything has to put an earpiece in, and he's getting directives from the terrorist or the organisation as to what they want him to do. So in that way it reminded me of Phone Booth. So really good performances from Taron Egerton, who you'll know from the Kingsman movies, Jason Bateman, who was in The Gift, along with Dean Norris, who's Hank from Breaking Bad. So I was surprised to see him in it, but he plays like a guy that's in charge of the airport security, basically. Only criticism I'd say is this film pushes close to 2 hours, and at 90 minutes or just over would be a much better paced action film. For me, at 120 minutes, it seemed some of the scenes were more filler and really didn't add anything to the movie at all. So, if it would have been closer to the 90-minute mark, it would have been, flowed much better for me. It does make me wonder if they'll do a sequel to this. I hope they don't, because it was a decent film in its own right, without the need for potentially overstaying its welcome with unnecessary sequel movies. So, it's one of those. It very much reminded me of Die Hard. Obviously, Die Hard went on and did a couple of really good sequels, but for me, I hope this is just a one-off movie and not something that they try to push and it ending up outstaying its welcome. But I did give it a Letterboxd rating of 3.5 out of 5. Ghost Lou was in and out of the living room while I was watching it, and he seemed to enjoy what he saw as well. So it is one that I'd recommend. Whether it's one I'd pick up on physical media, I'm not too sure. If I saw it reduced on Blu-ray, if it was in the HMV, down to £6-7, I'd potentially buy it. But for me, I'm not in any rush to get it on physical media and give it a rewatch anytime soon. Decent little film, but like I say, not really much more than that. So that's 2024's Carry On. Next up, I watched on physical Bad Biology. Wow, what a movie. I was aware this is a body horror. It's one of those that people, when you mention the movie, they take a deep breath and, I was like, okay, here we go. Brace yourself, Marcus. Let's see what all of the fuss and the hoo-ha is all about. So, Bad Biology, guys. You just put that one on there and shift over on Letterboxd to Bad Biology. Right, Bad Biology. 2008 movie directed by Frank Henenlotter. Don't know if I pronounced that right. Synopsis of the movie. Driven by biological excess, a young man and woman search for sexual fulfillment, unaware of each other's existence. Unfortunately, they eventually meet, and the bonding of these two very unusual human beings ends in an explosive and ultimately over-the-top sexual experience, resulting in a truly god-awful love story. Say 2008, it runs 84 minutes, so less than an hour and a half. My opening line, what the actual fuck did I just watch? There we go. It's one of those movies, guys, honestly. I go on to say I've watched all kinds of weird and messed up movies over the years, but this one has got to be one of the weirdest I've seen to date. Now, if you've seen my movie collection, you've seen my weekly watches, my 5-minute movie reviews, you've heard me talk about all sorts of weird and wonderful shit over the last 12, 14 months that I've been doing movie-related things on the channel. This is definitely one of the weirdest movies to date. Absolutely crazy. From the opening line of the movie, which I won't spoil, to the most bizarre last 20 minutes, this movie is basically 84 minutes of fucked up fun. Certainly not a movie you'd feel comfortable watching with anybody else. And I honestly don't know what my neighbours thought I was up to with the constant screaming female orgasms that echoed throughout this movie. There we go. I'll tell it how it is, guys. You know, what you're going to do. I honestly can't wait to check out more of this director's fucked up movies now. And I rated it 3.5 out of 5. Absolutely loved it. Like I say, definitely one of those movies that isn't going to be for everybody. Definitely, you know, not a movie that you're going to put on with the family about at all. I wouldn't have been comfortable watching it with Lewis. Wouldn't have been comfortable watching it with anybody else in the room at all. And like I say, my neighbours must have had an absolute field day for 84 minutes listening to what I was watching, so, or wondering what the hell I was actually up to. So who knows? But yeah, I think the director, was it Frank? Was it Letton? Where are we? Frank Henenlotter. I think he was the guy that did Basket Case. And if you've ever seen the monster, the creature that was in Basket Case, then you know some of the weird and wonderful shit that you're going to see in this movie. I absolutely loved it. Definitely a keeper for the collection. And like I say, if you like your weird and wonderful messed up films, you won't go far wrong with this one. Thankfully not a stupidly expensive one to pick up on physical media either at the moment. I think I got it for £8 or £10 in the local CEX, so easily available. And for me, like I say, if you enjoy that sort of thing, you'll get a lot out of this movie, even though, you know, you'll be shaking your head and saying what the fuck constantly throughout, but thoroughly enjoyed it. Really good movie. So that was Bad Biology from 2008. Next up on physical media, I watched one of the After Dark movies. Now, if you're a movie collector, movie watcher, you'll know the After Dark set of films are very hit and miss. Some of them can be really good. I wouldn't say exceptional, but they can be good. Other ones can be absolute stinkers. So, yeah, Rogue River, first time watch for me. Wasn't sure which which side of things this one would fall, whether it would be a hit or a miss. So that's Rogue River. So it's from 2011. Runs 81 minutes, so again, less than an hour and a half of your time to invest in it. It's, let's have a look, directed by Jordan McClure. And the synopsis: when a young woman takes a trip down Rogue River, her car mysteriously disappears. Lost without transport or communication, she accepts the hospitality of a stranger who offers her shelter for the night at his cabin. There you go. That was the first and biggest mistake that she made, let me tell you. With no other options available, she reluctantly accepts, only to forever regret it. The ensuing hours yield nothing but torture, indescribable pain and horrific agony. If you've seen Misery, you've seen nothing. Certainly wouldn't compare it to Misery, but there we go. This movie starts where horror films end and leaves viewers paralysed by fear and disgust. So that's the synopsis. My review. Here we go. First time watching this one, and with it being an After Dark release, I wasn't too sure which way it would go. This stars Bill Moseley several years after he's done House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. So I loosely had positive hopes. In the end, this wasn't too bad a movie. Without spoilers, a girl starts off on a journey to scatter her late father's ashes. Her car gets stolen, and from there on she meets Bill Moseley's character and does what we've always been told not to do, by accepting a lift from a stranger. It then goes from bad to worse for her as expected. Unnerving, tense, and a few gory scenes. Say a few, not too many. Bill Moseley and Lucinda Jenny play the creepy psycho couple pretty well. Not a bad little low-budget movie overall, although some questionable decisions made throughout this movie. But, if they didn't make the silly decisions, we wouldn't have had the movie that we got. And what felt like a very odd ending, but I'll say no more and let you see that for yourselves. And then, where are we? From that cover, if you can see the cover there, I'll refer at the end of the review and say, do not expect an Eden Lake type movie or even to see the scene depicted on the movie cover, because it doesn't happen. Which is a bit silly, but there we go. Creative licensing and all that, I guess. Creative licensing, which always annoys the hell out of me. And I rated it a 3 out of 5. So, lowest one of the week so far. But the last movie that I'm going to get onto is the lowest one of the week, but not a terrible movie. And it was Shark from 1969, starring Burt Reynolds. Now, this is one that's been on my radar to watch for a little while now, probably 6 months or so. I'd seen it in the local CX a couple of times. Obviously, with the title of Shark, I'm big into my shark movies. Again, those can go either way. They can be absolutely terrible movies, especially, the low budget B movies, or they can be absolute gems like the likes of Jaws, and more recently the likes of Rogue. So I wasn't too sure which way it would go. So this was one that I recorded off the TV. So I thought I'll watch it on the TV first. If it's one that's got some sort of rewatchability, then I'll pick it up on physical media and rewatch it again later on down the line in that way. 1969 movie, runs 92 minutes, and it was directed by Samuel Fuller. And the synopsis, although the tagline at the top, which again very misleading, a realistic film became too real. Shark will rip you apart. Okay. A gunrunner loses his cargo near a small coastal Sudanese town, so he's stuck there. And that's Burt Reynolds' character. When a woman hires him to raid a sunken ship in the shark-infested waters, he sees a chance to compensate for his losses. He's not the only one. And my review for this one, guys, it says, let me start this review by saying do not go into this movie expecting anything like Jaws whatsoever. This movie came out 1969. Obviously, the original Jaws was Steven Spielberg in 1975. Thankfully, I'm guessing Jaws very much, or Steven Spielberg, I should say, very much learnt the lessons from what this movie gave us. This is more of an action-adventure film than a creature feature. Yes, there are sharks in the movie, but these are few and far between, and with this being a PG-rated movie, there is no aggressive action whatsoever. There's a few scenes where sharks are swimming around the water. They're not great white sharks. Some of them look really tiny sharks, which, again takes you as a viewer away from, how they're trying to portray these vicious shark-infested waters. But some of them, obviously, bigger sharks. There's little scenes where, there's a diver in the water and a shark will start coming up to them and, you'll see blood coming out and things like that. But nowhere near the terror of Jaws and the aggression of Jaws. There was a dedication at the start of the movie that says, this movie is dedicated to the stuntman that took part in this movie and risked their lives. By all accounts, reading on IMDb, one of the actual stuntmen did lose his life whilst acting in this movie. So there we go. On that bright note, overall though, this is a fun action adventure starring the cheeky chappy Burt Reynolds. Big Burt Reynolds fan, love the likes of the Cannonball Run movies, etc. Very tongue-in-cheek as you'd expect, but a fun movie to kick back and relax with of a Sunday afternoon. Like I say, don't go expecting an amazing creature feature. The sharks, even though it's entitled Shark, the sharks are very much a bit part in the movie. Most of it is an action adventure film with Burt Reynolds and the other characters around him. I don't know, kind of very loosely reminded me of, a slightly 60s version of Indiana Jones, if you like. Decent rewatchability if you like Burt Reynolds and action adventure movies of this era. And I rated it straight down the middle, guys, a 2.5 out of 5. So it wasn't terrible. Certainly not up there as one of the best, shark movies. But like I say, if you like that, Sunday afternoon chill movie, then it was a fun watch for me. So there we go, guys. That's my my weekly watches caught up with for this week. Video wise, I think should have another episode of the DVD mega haul to come. But yeah, if you've seen any of those movies, guys, then let me know what your thoughts were in the comments, or after hearing my reviews if you're interested in them but you've not seen them before. Again, give them a watch and let me know how you get on with them. So there we go, guys. As always, please remember to like, comment and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll be back later on in the week with another video. Bye for now.